to talk a little bit about Rotary International, RI. A couple weeks ago, we got together to take the picture. We're this close. So the reason that I became a Rotarian was because I found that it was one of the few nonprofits where I could make a difference in my local community, in my country, and in the world. That's the sole reason that I joined Rotary, because I felt like I could make a difference, I could make an impact in all those areas. I also remember when I first joined, I was a bit confused at the different arms and the foundations and the clubs and the districts and all that. So I'm going to, for those who are new in the club, just go over a quick overview here of what that looks like. So here we are. That's the media Rotary Club that we're here every Thursday for lunch. Unfortunately, because of the PA laws, and Peter Martin will probably be able to tell us more about that, it is not a 501c3. When people give us money, it is not a charitable contribution, it's not a tax deduction. So because of that, we created the Media Rotary Foundation, which is basically the giving arm, and that's the non-profit arm of our club. So when we do accept money from people, it is a tax deduction thanks to that Media Rotary Foundation, and actually the board members, and that's through our club. That's something that we do. So above that is the district, and we're part of districts, the Southern Eastern PA district, and within that there are 51 clubs in our area. They also have a charitable contribution arm, and it's called Gundaker Foundation. And then last but not least, there's Rotary International, and that's the big Rotary International. We have the seat on the UN board, 34,000 clubs worldwide, 1.2 million Rotarians worldwide. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of what all that looks like. Now, it might seem confusing, it might seem redundant having these different foundations, but when we start doing projects, when we start doing grant requests, it's actually amazing at when all these different foundations can come together and match your money and basically quadruple sometimes your efforts. So with Rotary International, today there are 6 areas of focus. Supporting education, providing clean water, promoting peace, saving mothers and children, growing local economies, and fighting disease. I think you would find it hard-pressed to come up with a project that doesn't fit in one of these 6 categories. But today, rather than go into all of these and talk about projects and grants and all the confusing stuff, I'd like to talk about polio, primarily because last week we celebrated Jonas Salk's 100th birthday. In 1950, he developed the polio vaccine. So, what is polio? A lot of us in this room don't know what polio is. It's a very highly contagious viral infection targeted to kids 5 and below. They start off with a fever, headaches, and then their muscles start weakening, and sometimes leading to paralysis, deformity, and death. So in 1985, Rotary took on a mission of eradicating polio from the planet. In 1985, there were 1,200 new cases reported every day. Today, there are fewer than 1 new case per day. That's amazing. So, why are we still talking about this? Well, it's quite simple. If we stopped doing what we're doing today, there's a risk. And the risk is that polio, this crippling disease that strikes the most vulnerable of us all, children 5 and below, will start spreading again. It would basically mean that we have failed in our efforts. We have failed, we've wasted $10 billion flushed down the drain, including $1.2 billion directly from us, Rotarians. And if we stop today, within 1 decade, 200,000 new cases per year are going to cripple children every year. So this year, Africa will actually be polio-free. Doesn't mean that we're done. Does not mean that we're done. It means that we need to continue vaccinating every child for the next 5 years. So, I'd like to bring up Bill. Bill, I think you have some first-hand experience with polio. We'd love to have you share some stories with us.
Good job. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I got 15 minutes. No. Yes. My wife and I did have the privilege of going on an expedition to Madagascar to perform polio eradication and polio immunization. And as you saw in the picture, it amounted to 2 drops on the tongue of infants, generally speaking, under 5 years old. Fact is, we were at a summer picnic at the Martinley's house. And the conversation around the picnic table was, you know, Rotary's doing a Polio Plus program over there in Madagascar. You know, they got a couple of spots left. Who wants to go? Who wants to go to Madagascar? Well, you know, we've read in National Geographic and so on and so forth about the very peculiar climate and conditions in Madagascar that enables it to have a species of plants and animals that are nowhere else found in the world. And so it might be one of the places that you would move up on your bucket list. It wasn't even on our bucket list, but at any rate, my wife was sitting next door to me at the time, and I said to her, you know, Rotary's got it all figured out. What do you think? Let's go. 2 weeks in Madagascar. Lo and behold, she said yes, and that was the beginning of the trip. So it wasn't too many months. You got all your shots, and away you go. 27 hours to get to Madagascar. And the last flight was from Paris all the way down through Africa, across Africa, on Air France. Smoking had been banned in the U.S., but let me tell you, from Paris to Madagascar, it wasn't banned. And so the airplane was filled with smoke by the time we get, and so were we. But anyhow, we arrived in Madagascar, and what you saw, the picture of the kids up here, with their legs bent, and some of them were just frozen in place. These kids are relegated to be beggars. They're nothing but the society ostracizes them, and they are forced to beg for the rest of their lives. This is what we saw in Madagascar. Downtown, busy downtown like any place else. Plenty of merchandise, albeit strangely displayed. For example, you know, the meat markets hung the meat outside in the sun. That's how, there was no refrigeration downtown. But the beggars were frequent, and you could see they indeed were polio cases. We had the privilege of going to a orphanage up on a hill. 5,000 kids in this orphanage under the age of 5. And we were going to, we were about 40 strong at the time, and we were going to vaccinate all those kids that day. And we did, as a matter of fact. I had a very emotional experience. A guy came up to me with a newborn. He was speaking French. I didn't speak French. But I got out of him that the kid was 2 days old. And he wanted to know if it was okay if this child got vaccinated. These kids had nothing. We took along various little things, and we had actually some stickers with us. And we would give each kid, after he was vaccinated, a sticker to their great delight and their great amusement. So this orphanage had no water, no public water. The public water was 2 kilometers away. And each day they had to haul the water to help to keep the place going. Can you imagine that the the job that was just to haul that water. And so, because we were Rotarians, we immediately said, look, how much would it cost? Does anybody know? Have they done any studies on to run this water up to this orphanage? The cost was $38,000. We said, gee whiz, that's not very much money. Let's get in one of these programs with matching funds, and let's raise this money, and let's get that water line put in. Now, it took a little time to do this because of the red tape of Rotary, but ultimately, a year or two later, they did run that water line to that orphanage because Rotary does this kind of stuff. But it was through the Polio Plus program that we were there and saw that. I told you before, what happens in these countries is the whole country shut down. And we were immunizing for not just one day, we were immunizing for 2 weeks. But in the first day, it's quite a celebration. The Prime Minister came to the area, made a speech, and there were bands and great celebration that we were going to do this. In every town, every village, stick village, there were signs, there were people, there were volunteers. Rotary today has immunized 2.5 billion children. The cost is about 60 cents a kid. We have been in 122 countries. Now, there's only 3 countries left that have polio in them. Last year, 2013, there were 416 polio cases registered in the world. To date, 2014, there's 257. Looks like we're gaining on it, but still we have those 3 countries, and we have to get them all. If you don't get them all, you're going to run backwards, just as you said. There's a big infrastructure, I told you, that goes with this polio vaccination. They have to get it from the plant, refrigerate it, and get it everywhere in the world under refrigeration. Sometimes this means by horseback, by donkey, by canoe, by whatever it takes to get up to the village. And then it has to be kept cold. However, I think I told you about the India, by the way, has been declared polio-free. That's phenomenal for a country with the size and the population of India. When they were doing this immunization in India, they had harnessed up 2.4 million workers, volunteers, that were going to give this immunization. And over a very short period of time, they immunized 172 million kids. But they were able to do it, and they did it, and they stamped it out. So Rotary Foundation, this was part of Rotary Foundation, and it led to other things and to other countries. We were blessed to have this experience in Madagascar. I encourage you to be involved in some program. We just heard Sue Mordinley. She was just with the Rotoplast down in South America. And that's a Rotary program too, where they fixed cleft palates. I invite you, you want to see how strong Rotary is? Get involved in something outside your club. Be involved in your club, but get involved in one of these programs somewhere that fits you, and you will receive great blessings because of your involvement. So I just invite you. We were, as they say, we were blessed to go to Madagascar, and it will always be a shining star in our experience. Okay, thank you. I didn't list the 3 countries. Afghanistan is one of them. Pakistan is another. And I'm dropping the 3rd one. Yeah.
Nigeria. Thank you, Bill. So, 1 million children today are alive because of us, because of Rotarians. 11 million kids aren't crippled today because of us, Rotarians in this room. So as a group here, sitting here in media, what is it that we have done, right? Last year, we were qualified as every Rotarian every year. That's the contributions. Basically, every member has given to Rotary International, and the average club per capita is $100. So what else can we do? Well, for starters, awareness. Next time you're taking a selfie for Facebook, go like this. Bring awareness to our community about polio. It's not over. It's not over yet. It can come back very, very quickly. If you want to learn more about it, how to get involved, talk to Bill, talk to Sue Mardenley, talk to anybody that's involved with Rotary International. Even go on Google polio eradication. There's courses. There's all sorts of information out there. And last but not least, give. I put in front of you guys a form. Does anybody not have a form? If you open that up, in the insert, there's an opportunity for you to write your name and give $10. Check that box, $10, and check that box, make it monthly contribution. You know why? Every month, when you get that credit card bill, you can pat yourself on the back. Because you just paid for 78 vaccinations. That's what Rotarians do. Let's be proud, and let's make history today. Thank you. Any questions? Does anybody need a pen? This is the right time to make a difference and stamp out this disease. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I'm sure when you come to Zoran and say, my husband, the 78, right? 78 vaccinations will happen from our gift every month. So please keep it in your mind. Yes.
By the way, on my way over here, I was walking down Veterans Square, and I ran into somebody, and he asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm going to a Rotary meeting, and I'm doing a presentation on Rotary International. He's like, well, what's that about? I said, well, we're eradicating polio from this planet, and it only costs $10 a month to come up with 78 vaccines. He's like, I'm in. It's that easy. It's that easy.
So maybe you have more of these and we can have...
Absolutely, there's a whole stack of them over there.
Okay. Excellent. Please rise for the four-way test. We take it...
To talk to each other